Just a few things before we begin. We're going to be using, obviously, the core. We're going to be moving through to plank positions today. So you're more than welcome to come down either onto all fours or to a 3/4 plank, which I'll show you throughout the session. But pull your belly button in. Start to scoop and lift the muscles of the pelvic floor. There'll be some things that, again, there'll be modifications for. We're going into our downward dog. But again, you can do everything onto all fours if you need to. Okay? So let's just start onto all fours. Knees below your hips, hands below the shoulders, and we'll just start to wake up the body. So tucking your chin, tucking your tailbone, rounding through, and then slightly dipping through the spine. So just creating some movement as we round and release. Just warming up through the main chunk of the body. And again, I can't see, I think everyone can see me on Facebook. The screen is quite dark because of the light coming in. And I think you can all see me quite well on Instagram. So keep that going, just a few round and release. And just find your own flow and your own breath with this. Remember, it's first thing in the morning, so our muscles and our joints are quite tight, quite stiff from sleeping. So just find the extra space that you can go into. Just do one more. And then sit back onto your heels, reach those arms out ahead of you. Find some length through the fingertips. And then start to walk your hands over to one side, finding the stretch. And then back through center, creating some movement and some extra space, stretching over to the side. And then bringing yourself back into the center, coming up onto all fours and start to tuck your toes. Bring yourself up and through to your downward dog, and we're going to continue to move the body. So I want you to tread through the feet and create some movement there. Now anytime you can come back down to your child's pose. So if downward dog feels too much, can feel quite challenging if you're not used to downward dog position. So feel free to rest out if you need to. If not, keep treading through the feet and just create some movement and some flow in that position. So just working through, waking the body up. And then we're going to start to walk your hands towards your feet, creating a deeper bend into the knees if you need to. And then rebuild yourself up to a standing position. We're going to continue to roll down, tuck your chin in towards the chest. Rolling all the way down, soften the knees if you need to and go deeper, because we're going to walk out into your downward dog and then bring ourselves through to our plank position. So lowering from the hips. If you need to, your 3/4 plank is just above the knee joint, and you're more than welcome to just release down and onto all fours. Hold that position, take a breath, and then when you're ready, scoop through the tummy muscles. So imagine you've got a spike coming up out of the floor, and you're scooping the tummy muscles to lift the hips up and back to your downward dog, and start to walk your hands back towards your feet, slight bend into the knees, rebuilding yourself up to your standing position. Just make sure I'm still on screen for both. Excellent. Take a deep breath here. Arms come all the way up. And release. This time we're folding forward, so stretch over your legs, go to where you can, soften the knees, and start to walk out to your downward dog position. Again, just recenter, realign yourself into that downward dog. Scoop through the tummy muscles, tuck your chin and try and round yourself out to your plank position. Placing the knees down if you need to. Scoop through the core, push away from the floor. Take a deep breath. And then scoop through the tummy muscles, lift through your hips. Bringing yourself up. One more time, let's walk the hands back. Soften the knees, rebuild, restack, gradually bringing yourself up to a standing position. So now we'll add in the glute section. So you're more than welcome to come down onto all fours when we go out to that plank position. Take a deep breath in. Fold forwards, reach out, lengthen over the legs, slight bend into your knees. Start to walk yourself out to that downward dog position. Maybe just give your legs a little bit of a tread through. Scoop through the tummy muscles, lengthen out to your plank position. And again, this time if you do want to, it's either a full plank or onto all fours. And you're just going to lift and lower. So again, if you're on all fours, you're just taking the leg back out, squeezing through the glutes and finding the length. If you're in your plank, alternate leg lifts. Let's go for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Scoop back up through to your downward dog. Walk your hands back, slight bend into the knees. Rebuilding, gradually bring yourself up. Take a deep breath. Ooh, that's a tough one. Fold forwards over your legs. Relaxing over. Walking yourself out to your downward dog. Now you've got two options here. You can stay in your downward dog position, or again, you can bring yourself onto all fours. We're going to stay with one side. So if you're on all fours, extend one leg back behind you. If you're in your downward dog, we're going into a downward dog split, lengthening one leg up. And then squeeze into your glutes, pulse, squeeze, squeeze. So keep that going. You can be on all fours and squeeze here into a pulse. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Place the leg down. Start to walk your hands back towards your feet. Rebuild yourself up. Come up to standing. Take a deep breath. We've got the other side to do. Exhale, fold over the legs. Find the length. Start to walk yourself out to your downward dog. And again, feel free to adjust. Don't feel like you're stuck to where you've walked out to. Again, you're either here, lengthening into your downward dog split, or you're onto all fours and lengthening one leg back behind you. And we're going into those pulses, squeezing from the glute, from that butt cheek. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Keep that going. Oh, I thought there was a cat meowing outside the door, but there's not. Let's go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. From here, place your knees down. Sit back onto your heels and rest out. Take a few deep breaths. Just breathing and relaxing into that position. I used the cat there to get out of that last glute squeeze. I thought there was a cat outside. So just breathe in that child's pose. Have a few deep breaths. That might have got the heart rate up. Quite a challenging posture to hold, let alone to do some small pulses with. So we are nearly done. We are nearly there with our session today. So take one more deep breath in that child's pose. Come up onto all fours, knees below your hips, hands below the shoulders. Round, tuck your chin, and release. Dip through the spine. Just do that one more time. Rounding through, tuck your chin, and release. Tuck your toes, bring yourself back up and through to your downward dog. Start to walk your hands back towards your feet. Bend the knees if you need to. Rebuild yourself up to standing. Take a full deep breath in and release. Roll the shoulders and give yourself a round of applause.